is going on, you guys? It is your boy, Matt Talk Sports. What a day. What a beautiful day to just cherish and just bask in because me personally, I had one of the greatest days of my life. I went to go see Bengals versus Bills in person, and it was everything I dreamed of. It was my first time in Highmark. I've been to three Bills games, all in Miami for some reason. This was my first game in Buffalo, my first game in Highmark, and it was snowing. The crowd was great, and I got to see the Bills win in a comeback in a great quarterback duel. Josh Allen plays like an MVP. It was terrific. Christian Benford, I will never forget that moment. That moment is quite literally etched into my memory. I will never forget that till the day I die. The stadium was shaking, and these are the type of moments I live for, and I'm glad I got to experience it. Hopefully, everyone else had a great day, but I know I had possibly the best day anyone had today. So, let's get into it. Yes, I was at the Bills vs. Bengals game, but I also had a 5 hour plus drive back home. So, I was able to catch up on all the games that I missed. I was able to watch some tape, and I also was able to watch the full 4 o'clock slate and the 8 o'clock game, Chiefs vs. Texans. So, there's a lot to talk about, a lot of different storylines, a lot of shocking results. And honestly, is there a better channel to come and watch and recap week 14 with Matt Talk Sports? Because right here, right now, where else would you rather be? Now, if you made this far in video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe right now. Follow me everywhere at Matt Talk Sports, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and I'll see you there. Now, I have to talk about the Buffalo Bills versus Bengals. An unreal game. The Bengals up 10 points in the fourth quarter. The Bills somehow come back. It's their second comeback of 10 or more points in the fourth quarter this year. The Bills win 39-34, and they end any hope for the Bengals to make the playoffs this year. The Bills, they moved to 9-4. The Bengals fall to 4-9. First of all, I got to talk about my experience with the Buffalo Bills game. Bills Mafia has the greatest crowd of all time. I already knew that before this game, but we are possibly the nicest and most energetic fans for any sport. We are not. There are so many Cincinnati Bengals fans in attendance for this game, and they were moving around like it was their stadium. We weren't talking shit to them. We were just like, "Hey, good luck, have a good game." In any other stadium, the fans are just being rude to you, being dicks to you, and just making you have a bad time. Not that way for Buffalo Bills fans. We welcome into your stadium and say, hey, good luck. If you win, you win. If you lose, we're going to celebrate in your face. Not egregiously, but we're going to celebrate, sing Mr. Brightside, twist and shout song. Like, we're going to go crazy. So the crowd was unreal. The snow. First of all, I think I might be a winter guy. I might be built for the cold weather because I loved it. It was cold, but not overly cold. It was snowing, so it looked perfect. I got to watch Burrow versus Allen. I got to watch football with snow, and it was the perfect scenery. I loved everything about Highmark Stadium and my first experience in it. It might be my last in the old Highmark Stadium, but I tell you what, I will be going to the new Highmark Stadium as much as I can because I love the experience. The Bills fans are the best fans in the world, and I hugged about 100 people today. It felt like after every touchdown, especially after the Christian Benford touchdown. We'll get into it. First of all, I gotta praise Joey B in this Bengals offense real quick because Joe Burrow is sensational. Outside of Pat Mahomes, he's the scariest quarterback in the NFL to me as a Bills fan. He's just calm, composed, and he's super collective. He thrives in the big moments. He is a psychopath, and he was great today. Up until the fourth quarter, he was terrific. 25 of 36, 284 yards, four touchdowns. Obviously, he had two picks, but and yeah, this O line, like I said in the preview for this game, it's his best O line he's ever had. He only got sacked once today. He was really, really good today. Joe Burrow, man, honestly, man, there's no hate in my heart for him. I just fear him. So he's great. He is terrific. I can't wait to see what he does with the Bengals next year because I have a feeling Allen versus Burrow is going to be this reoccurring thing that is just a beauty to watch every time. Watching him throw in the snow, bro, was sensational to watch. I wasn't even mad when he was cooking us because honestly, he was frying us with T. Higgins. They couldn't run the ball at all today, which I was shocked because Chase Brown and this O line have been running the ball pretty well. But I'll be honest, they didn't really stick to the run because they were passing the ball exceptionally well. Ultimately, between P. Ryan and Chase Brown, 19 carries for 62 yards, one touchdown. Chase Brown had the first touchdown of the day. T. Higgins was frying us, man. He was frying poor Maxwell Harrison. Christian Benford was good with Jamar Chase today, but Maxwell Harrison was left out on his own with T. Higgins, and he was getting fried. Out routes, slant routes, he was getting fried. And honestly, T. Higgins on the Bengals depth chart is a wide receiver two. We all know he's a wide receiver one on pretty much any other team in the NFL outside of the Vikings and maybe the Seahawks and maybe the Rams. But he's that good. He's wide receiver one quality, and he showed that today. Unreal, the two touchdowns he scored today. One of them was in the end zone I was sitting at, and it was unreal to watch him get the 2 feet in. 6 for 92, two touchdowns for T. Higgins today. And Mike Gesicki, that pissed me off watching him do the fucking gritty. The worst gritty of all time. He did the gritty. 6 for 86, one touchdown. Jamar Chase only 5 catches for 44 yards. Christian Benford was locking up Jamar Chase today. Jamar Chase, when matched up with Christian Benford, 2 targets, 0 receptions, and a pick six. Jamar Chase was matched up with Christian Benford on 16 offensive possessions, so that's pretty special to me, if you're asking me. So really, man, it was an honor to watch Joe Burrow in this healthy offense. I will be completely honest with you. There was a moment in the fourth quarter where I was like, this team has us dead to rights, especially when James Cook fumbled on the 1 yard line, resulting in a touchback for Bengals ball. I was like, man, Burrow's going to go 3-0 against us. And then we got one of the best fourth quarters I've ever seen in my lifetime. And it's not even just because I was there. There was 5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That was insane to watch. The second half of this game was unreal. And I'll be honest with you guys, before I get into the stats and what I saw from MVP Josh today, this game should have been a bigger win for the Bills, meaning point differential. Ty Johnson tripping on his own feet in the snow. That should have been a touchdown. He had wide open space for a touchdown. He tripped on his own feet. It resulted in 3 points. And then James Cook, at the end of the third quarter, 7-minute drive, 12 plays, 70 yards, a great drive. James Cook really had 2 fumbles today. The first one didn't count because he was out of balance first. And then the second one, 39 seconds later, he fumbles it into the end zone for a touchback. So James Cook, I love him. He's been great this year, but he is starting to get a fumble problem. Like, it's getting not worrisome, but it's like, hey, it's becoming noticeable. So outside of those 2 things, I really love what I saw from the Bills offense today. Ty Johnson tripping on his own feet, unlucky. James Cook fumbling, great player. Probably won't happen too much to him. But this Bills offense, dude, this is the Bills offense I am familiar with, especially with Josh Allen today. What did I say coming into this game? You probably didn't watch it, but here's what I said. One of them was time possession is key, and that was evident to me. I think running the ball was very important for the Bills, and I think if we were able to control the time of possession, we would win. And listen, we didn't have that big a discrepancy in time of possession. We had 48 seconds of time of possession. The Bengals had 28 minutes. So, listen, time of possession wasn't exactly heavily in our favor, but we didn't turn the ball over outside of James Cook. Josh Allen did not turn the ball over, which was huge for me. Yes, we're playing a bad defense, and honestly one of the worst defenses in the NFL, but Josh Allen has been turning the ball over. And I was of the opinion that this is a playoff adjacent game, meaning this is a big game for the Bills. If we lose, we're still favored to make the playoffs, but the percentages aren't exactly in our favor. If we win, we knock the Bengals out of the playoffs and we decrease their hopes of a playoff hopeful season after starting 4-8. So that's why I thought this game was a playoff adjacent game, meaning Josh Allen will give us his best game of the year, and he did, which is crazy because Josh Allen has 6 touchdowns in one game this year against the Bucs, and somehow that's not his best game of the year. Tonight was his best game of the year. Josh Allen was MVP Josh. I'm telling you what, if he has a similar performance next week, he's working himself right back into the MVP combo. I don't care what anyone says because guess what? He has the Browns, Eagles, and Jets in last 3 games of the year. And the Eagles one is a tremendously big game in Buffalo. I might want to go to that actually. 3 days after Christmas is the problem. But Josh Allen today, 22 of 28, 251 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, only took 3 sacks. Josh Allen was perfection today. Watching this man play football, is one of the greatest pleasures I'll probably have in my life. That might sound like a hyperbole or overreaction or over exaggeration to you guys, but I legitimately mean that. As embarrassing or as sad as that might sound, I legitimately mean that. It's going to be one of the greatest pleasures I'll have in my lifetime watching this man play. There's a switch he flips in huge games. I don't care what anyone says. There's people on the side of the internet will be like, "Oh, he's a choker in the playoffs." That is super wrong. He steps up in every playoff game, and the rest of his team and the coaching lets him down. But he's never been horrible in the biggest playoff games he's ever played in. He's been borderline great in all of them, if not totally great in all of them. And today was a playoff adjacent game, and he was perfect in it. One of the best Josh Allen games I've ever seen him play, and I was in attendance for it. Josh Allen was perfection today. I couldn't believe it. James Cook, 18 of 80, 4.4 yards a carry, had the fumble. Josh Allen, 9 for 78 rushing, one touchdown. Josh Allen has the longest touchdown run in Buffalo Bills history, 40-yard touchdown run. Obviously, the playoff and regular season stats are separated. Nonetheless, Josh Allen, he is starting to run the ball more later in the season, and I love that. The QB design runs and the improvisation scrambles are perfection. That 40-yard touchdown run, first of all, Deion Dawkins, he's originally on the defensive end, and then he switches to the linebacker, opening up a lane for Josh Allen. Perfect. Brandon Cooks blocking downfield. Perfect. I loved it. Dawson Knox. What a game, dude. He was our best downfield target. He was cooking this linebacking core of the Bengals. 6 for 93. First of all, if you said Dawson Knox was going to have a 93-yard game, I would have told you were lying and smoking crack. And that's not offensive to Dawson Knox because I like Dawson Knox. But 93 yards in the year 2025 from Dawson Knox is special. Shout out to Dawson Knox. Huge game. Dalton Kincaid, 4 for 41, one touchdown. Great bounce back game for him. He's not fully healthy, but he was great today. James Cook, 2 for 31. Gabe Davis, 2 for 21. Khalil Shakir, 2 for 16, one touchdown. I mean, Josh Allen was cooking this offense. Shout out to Joe Brady. He called a perfect game offensively. And now I know people are going to be like, this defense was bad today, which I can't say they weren't, but I also say I can't say they were because they're playing one of the best offenses in the NFL when that offense is healthy, and they were healthy today. And not only were they healthy, they have one of the best O-lines Burrow has ever had. So as much as I want to drag on Gregory Rousseau for not getting any pressures or anywhere close to a sack, by the way, Gregory Rousseau is not playing up to the contract he was given, so that's evident. But I do think this defense was clutch in spots. And obviously, the player of the game outside of Josh Allen, and maybe the game ball just goes strictly to him, Christian Benford. He was terrific last week with a pick and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. This week, I mean, I will never forget that touchdown he had. I know I said that earlier, but I can't overstate. I will never forget that. The pick, I mean, dude, he grabbed that ball from the sky. I mean, he jumped like 8 feet in the air, it felt like, in the stadium, and he returned it to my end zone. It was Christian Benford. I mean, these past 2 weeks, earlier in the season, I was kind of dragging on him. He was unhealthy. He wasn't playing like himself, and I was like, maybe the contract we gave him was too much. No, no, no. Christian Benford, the Villanova Wildcat, that contract was worth every penny, or at least it looks like it through these past 2 weeks. He's been terrific. He's been phenomenal, and today was the accumulation of that. He was exceptional. AJ Epinenza. Now, it was Jordan Phillips with the deflection for the pick, but man, AJ Epinenza somehow gets picks. I love AJ Epinenza. He's a big playmaker. And then Deion Walker. This man is massive. Watching him play in person, this dude just makes a difference. He has these splash plays, and maybe he's not fully consistent yet, but guys, you got to remember he's a rookie. All these players are going to improve. Shaq Thompson, I love him in the run game. I love Dorian Williams in the run game as well. So listen, I trusted our secondary the most heading into this game, and I still trust the secondary quite a bit. T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, we're not going to be facing those dudes every week, luckily. So I trust this defense, and this defense has been getting better. I know it's crazy because we let up 34 points today, so how can you be like, Matt, how can you say the defense is getting better? Trust me, this defense is improving. I know we let up 34 points, but this is to Joe Burrow and the Bengals who are healthy and who are humming. The Bengals, You could argue they could have won this game if that defense didn't show up in the fourth quarter when we needed them the most, and that's what they did. Two back-to-back picks. Joe Burrow was terrific in this game, and Christian Benford and Jordan Phillips and AJ Epinenza changed the outcome for us. First of all, I want to give praise to Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills offense. When we go down 10, Josh Allen and that offense score in 30 seconds. The Bengals scored with Mike Gesicki at the 8-minute mark. Josh Allen runs for a 40-yard touchdown at the 7:30 mark. Pretty remarkable. So Joe Brady, Josh Allen, and this offense were feeling it. And I know I rag on Sean McDermott, and honestly, if we don't get to the Super Bowl this year, it is a massive disappointment for Sean McDermott. Listen, if Sean McDermott doesn't get the result I want and every Bills fan wants this year, and I call for him to be fired, it's not an indictment on him. He's a great head coach. It's just like, man, we have a ceiling, and I think you might hit it if you don't get us to a higher point than you have in the past. And it's not an indictment on him. I love Sean McDermott. And ultimately, listen, there's been a lot of questionable games this year from the Buffalo Bills. There's been a lot of games from Buffalo Bills this year where, like, how do we lose to Davis Mills? How do we lose to Michael Penix? How do we lose to Tua Tagovailoa? There's been games like that this year. But one thing is for sure, this Bills team does not quit. Yes, we lost to the Texans, but we didn't quit. We didn't quit. We fought until the end, and things didn't go our way. Ravens, we're down 15 points in the fourth quarter. We didn't quit. We kept fighting. We won the game. We're down 10 points to T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow. Any team would have folded in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left, down 10. We didn't quit. We won. Our defense kept on fighting despite not performing necessarily great. And their offense, Josh Allen led this team like he should down the field with ease. Listen, Sean McDermott, I want you to get the Super Bowl this year, and I would be pretty angry if we didn't get the Super Bowl this year. But I love you, man. And listen, if I call for your firing, it's not an indictment on you because you're a great head coach. But like at some point, you're gonna have to get us past the point that you've already brought us to. You know what I mean? So I love Sean McDermott, and I know he's caught a lot of slack this year, but I have to give him credit because he has this team fighting when most teams would quit. And those boys fighting results in wins more times than it doesn't this year. So Sean McDermott did his thing today. He said the right things to the team at half. They came out fighting and looked like a completely different team. Josh Allen looked like MVP Josh Allen today. He might have given the best quarterback performance of the year today. He was terrific. Man, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox were great. Christian Benford continues to be our best defensive player. He was terrific today. That's back-to-back games with a touchdown. It's absurd. Christian Benford, man, I couldn't believe that pick. I will never get over that pick. Uh, it's crazy. Christian Benford has two total touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. Lamar Jackson has two total touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. Isn't that something? Also, another crazy stat. Josh Allen in the second half, 13 to 15, 239 total yards, 3 touchdowns, and 150 passer rating. So that's perfection. Like, you can't ask much better than that. So the Buffalo Bills win, and I had one of the greatest days of my life. And I love Buffalo. I love Bills Mafia. And dude, I was that. I wish there was a camera on me. When I was younger, I used to record every event I went to, like insufferably. But as I get older, I like to live in the moment more, and I was living in the moment more. The only video I was able to catch was the Mr. Brightside at the end when we won, and that's probably why I lost my voice. But during the Christian Benford touchdown and the Josh Allen run, the people in front of me and the people behind me, they were grabbing my shoulders and rocking me back and forth, and the people in front of me, I was rocking them back and forth. It was just a terrific day of emotions. Some of the best days, guys, are when you ride that roller coaster of emotions. You're upset, you're depressed, and then you feel this huge wave of excitement and happiness. And that's what I felt today. Today felt like a turning of the tide for the Buffalo Bills. The AFC is wide open. The team I fear the most in the AFC is the Houston Texans, which we'll get into that game later. I fear them the most. Everyone in the playoffs right now that are locked into their spots, I don't fear. And that means the Buffalo Bills don't fear them. Listen, I fear the Texans, but granted, we only lost by 3 points to them. I think if we face the Texans again, we beat them. especially if this offense is humming this way. I know we just faced a far, far, far less superior defense than the Bengals, but I'm telling you, man, today felt like a tipping point, and it's a big tipping point because next week we face the Patriots in a tremendously big game. That's another a playoff adjacent game because the Patriots can win the division definitively next week if they beat us. If we win, we become Raven fans against the Patriots because if the Patriots lose to the Ravens and the Bills win out, guess who wins that division? You want to guess? So, let's go Bills. What a win. One of the best days of my life. I'm surprised I didn't lose my voice. I got to watch Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow in the snow today. Absolutely tremendous. I couldn't believe how great that game turned out to be. My dreams couldn't have rolled up something as perfect as that game was. Down 10 in the fourth, we overcome it and we win. And I got to watch a perfect offensive performance from Josh Allen. And the crowd was great. The fans are great. I went to the Miami Dolphins games versus the Bills 3 times in my life. And the Bills fans were great there, but having every fan in the stadium being a Bill fan except for a few Bengals fans was just euphoric. Everyone was fucking exceptional. So it was the nicest group of people I might have been around in an event like that. Yes, people were drunk. Yes, people were blitzed out of their mind. But god damn it, they were nice as hell. And it felt like a really huge family event. Like everyone was just having the same feelings. Everyone was happy, and everyone felt like a family member. If you fell over and hurt yourself, everyone in the stadium would have picked you up. That's how it felt like to me. So let's go Bills. The Bills are 9-4 heading into New England, Foxborough next week, and we're gonna shock Drake May and that fucking team because that team thinks their shit doesn't stink. And guess what? Your shit does stink. You're human, and we're gonna prove that to you next week. So let's go Bills. Bills Mafia. By the way, I used to not be a big proprietor of Mr. Brightside. I love Mr. Brightside, the song, after seeing it and hearing it live in person. Another take. Not a huge fan of Bill Stampede, that little drum shit we do. Not a huge fan, especially when we're losing. Don't do that shit while we're losing. I don't like the Bill Stampede. I'm a big fan of frickin' Mr. Brightside and the shout song, of course. And I will say this, anyone who's in attendance can attest to this. 2 songs were played while we were down 10. I forgot the name of the song right now. It's Mariah Carey's Christmas song. I don't know how I can't remember. It's the best Christmas song of all time. All I Want for Christmas Is You was played in Twist and Shout, and there was this magnetic shift in vibe because we everyone was down 10, but I couldn't stop myself from moving and dancing to Twist and Shout and singing along to All I Want for Christmas Is You, and everyone was doing the same. The vibes were tarnished. But somehow the vibes got brought back by that. If you were in the Highmark today, let me know if you felt the same way because after those songs concluded, the vibes started to change. The Bills went on that drive, 30-second drive for a touchdown, and then Christian Benford for a pick six. Dude, the stadium was shaking for Benford's pick six. I haven't experienced anything like that at a concert, at a sporting event. That was the greatest sporting event I've ever been to in my life. And honestly, that's maybe the best NFL game of the year. And I was at it in the snow. Perfection. So, enough about me, enough about my team and how much I love them and how much I would put my life on for this team. And I think every Bills fan would. Shout out to the Bengals fans, by the way. They were respectful. I love respectful fans. Don't come to a different stadium and be a dick. Every Bengals fan I met today was such a good person. And listen, the vibes are high for the Buffalo Bills, and today was a turning point for the rest of this year. Like this team is special. I'm telling you, we're gonna get to the Super Bowl this year, and there's wins this year that tell you that, and there's some losses this year that suck, of course, but the wins, the big wins we've had this year, tell you we're gonna do some special shit this year. Josh Allen has beat Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Pat Mahomes this year. Now, as we find out later in this video, maybe beating Pat Mahomes is not that hard. Maybe beating Lamar Jackson is not that hard. Maybe beating Baker Mayfield is not that hard. But nonetheless, Josh Allen is 4-0 against all 4 of those quarterbacks. Now, he has lost to Davis Mills and Michael Penix and Tua Tagovailoa, but ignore that. So, Bills win 39-34 in a shootout. They evade a loss. They come back down from 10. Let's go, Bills. Let's go. All right. Let's get into the rest of this Week 14 slate. I caught up on all of it. A lot of interesting storylines. We're gonna get the blowouts out the way first. One of the hottest teams in the NFL. I mean, these Miami Dolphins are buzzing. The Miami Dolphins win 34 to 10 in New Jersey in MetLife. They moved to 6 and 7 and they are hot. Ever since beating the Bills, they've been really good. The Jets, they fall to 3 and 10. Brady Cook was getting some burn today. Tyrod Taylor got injured early in the game. Brady Cook, Missouri legend, was getting some burn today for the New Jersey Jets. And really, man, McDaniel and Weaver have been cooking for this Miami Dolphins team. The defense has been humming, and the run game is one of the best run games in the NFL. Combined rushing overall for the Dolphins today: 41 carries, 239 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns. Jalen Wright, 24 carries, 107 yards, 1 tud. Devon A. Chain, 7 for 92, 1 tud. Ali Gordon, 5 for 17, 1 tud. Tua Tagovailoa, 13 for 21, 127 yards, 1 touchdown. Only took 1 sack. No turnovers from Tua Tagovailoa. Jalen Waddle, 5 for 50, 1 touchdown. I mean, the Dolphins are humming. The defense is humming. They had 6 sacks today. Granted, against Brady Cook, but listen, would this game have been different with Tyrod Taylor? Maybe slightly, but I think the Dolphins still win. Brees Hall, 14 for 43. And man, that's really the story today. I mean, your third string quarterback is in. A rookie, I believe Brady Cook is, or maybe just a second year player. I'm pretty sure he's just a rookie thrown into the limelight, and he was bound to have a bad day. Tyrod Taylor threw a pick before getting injured, and then Brady Cook, 2 picks, took 6 sacks. And the leading receiver for the Jets was Mason Taylor, 5 for 51. John Mechie, 4 for 34. So the Jets, they're struggling. They're in poverty. And the Dolphins are humming. I'd be shocked if they make the playoffs, but what a great end to the season for the Miami Dolphins and showing hope for next year. Ever since Tyreek Hill got injured, they've been playing better, but maybe if Tyreek Hill comes back, they're a different team next year. Who knows? I still don't like Tua Tagovailoa as a quarterback. I think he's going to be their downfall, but Devon A. Chain's legit. He's legit great. Waddle's legit great. And I like this team. So, Dolphins, you're still our little bro. You beat us last time, but you're still our little bro, and you guys are having a hell of a second half to a season. The Dolphins, they move to 6 and 7. The Jets fall to 3 and 10. Moving on, we'll get another blowout the way. And I said this in the preview. Why is Jaden Daniels paying? Now, Joe Burrow is different because they still legitimately had a shot for the playoffs. They still kind of do. But Jaden Daniels playing today was inexplicable. He got injured again. He was held out for precautionary reasons, but nonetheless, he got banged up again. 9 of 20, 78 yards, 1 pick, took a sack. Chris Rodriguez, 10 for 52. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 7 for 32. Marcus Mariota, 2 for 4, 30 yards passing, 1 pick. Terry McLaurin for 3 for 41. Deebo Samuel 4 for 27. Mariota also had a fumble loss. I mean, really, this team showed so much fight last week against the Broncos. Now, Broncos played down to their competition, it seems like. Broncos are not nearly as good as people think they are, despite being improved upon last season and the season before that. They are not nearly as good as you think. Yes, they win games, but they aren't a threat in the AFC for the Super Bowl, in my opinion. Um, yeah, man, Jaden Daniels playing today was inexplicable, and the offense looked bad. Granted, the Vikings defense is underrated, and their defense is better than the record would say. Shout out to Bobby Wagner. He had a sack today. Von Miller had a sack today. So shout out to those old bulls. They're getting the job done. And really, JJ McCarthy, hey, clap it up for yourself, man. Listen, you're not playing a good defense, but you could have played bad and you didn't. You relatively played pretty goddamn good. 16 to 23, 163 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He took 4 sacks. The run game was pretty prominent for the Vikings today. Between Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, J.J. McCarthy, and Xavier Scott, they had 34 carries, 162 yards, 1 touchdown for 4.8 yards a carry. Jordan Addison, 4 for 62. Jalen Naylor, 3 for 30. Josh Oliver, 2 for 24. And shockingly, Justin Jefferson having a hard time getting involved, 2 for 11, 5.5 yards a catch. Listen, the big thing for the Vikings right now is, listen, you want J.J. McCarthy to improve during the second half of the season because you're not going to make the playoffs. So you want to carry over the success and hopefully the improvements from J.J. McCarthy into next year because he's going to be your guy. Whether you want him to or not, he's going to be your guy. So improvements and gain confidence heading into next year, into the offseason. And you guys might have a bright season next year. The Vikings defense is pretty good, and I think you'll have most of the unit that you had this year next year, so you guys should be valid on that front. You just need JJ McCarthy to improve. Another big problem, Justin Jefferson. He's gonna get upset with this. He needs to get involved more. Now you don't want to force feed him and ruin games for you guys, but you need to get him involved more because he's a great guy. He's a very respectable receiver, one of the best receivers in the NFL, if not the best when he's playing at his best. But he wants the ball, man. There's a quote from him after the game where he's like, I'd rather not get the ball in a win than not get the ball in a loss, which is a weird quote, but it's a quote he said after the game. So get Justin Jefferson involved, as hard as that sounds, because I'm sure he's getting bracketed and double coverage and double team, but he needs to get the ball more. He only has 2 touchdowns on the year. That's the same amount as Christian Benford. So Vikings, they find a way to win. They blow out the Commanders. The Commanders score 0 points. The Vikings, they win 31 to nothing. And Jaden Daniels playing is malpractice. He shouldn't play another snap the rest of this year. And honestly, if I'm a Commanders fan, I'm angry because I'm watching Caleb Williams look great and the Bears be in the wild card now and having a really great year. And then I'm watching Drake May look absolutely unreal on the Patriots. And then I'm watching Jaden Daniels getting banged up after a really great rookie year, banged up, not looking nearly as good when he was healthy in the second year, and we're 3-10. So don't play him for the rest of the year unless you want something bad to happen. So hopefully he gets better next year. Hopefully he gets healthier because I still believe in Jaden Daniels. But my biggest concern with him heading into the pros was he has a body type that might not survive the NFL and the hits that you are going to take as an NFL quarterback. So hopefully he gets healthier. Hopefully he bulks on some muscle or something. But if you're a Commanders fan, you're angry. And don't let them tell you they aren't. So the Vikings, 31 to nothing. They move to 5-8. The Commanders, they fall to 3-10. Another blowout. Seahawks. This is a defense that if they have a lead, you're fucked. The Seahawks, they moved to 10-3. They went 37-9 in Atlanta, 4-9. I actually thought this was going to be a close game, and granted, it was heading into the second half. It was 6-6, and then what do you know? The Seahawks outscored the Falcons 31-3 in the second half. Rashid Shaheed, for a couple weeks, I was like, what was the purpose of that signing? Today was the purpose of that signing. A 100-yard kickoff return, and then he was really effective in the receiving game. One of the biggest things moving forward with the Seahawks that I think might come to bite them in the ass, which probably could be said for a lot of other teams as well, but they turn over the ball. They have some turnover problems, and if they can hone that down, they're one of the best teams in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made the Super Bowl. But Sam Darnold, I don't know if I exactly trust him in the biggest moments, so I'm waiting to see that because last year we saw him shit down his leg as it got brighter. Sam Darnold was pretty effective, pretty goddamn good against a good defense. Granted, the Falcons are pretty much giving up on their season now, but Seahawks 20-30, 249 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, only took 2 sacks. The run game today between Charbonnet, Velus Jones, and Kenneth Walker, 26 carries, 129 yards, 5 yards a carry. Jackson Smith the Jigba, 2 touchdowns in the second half, 7 receptions, 92 yards. Rashid Shaheed, 100-yard kickoff, and then he had 4 receptions, 67 yards. Cooper Kupp, 2 for 35, 1 touchdown. And man, the defense for the Seahawks is special. They are just special. I love watching this defense. They hit hard and they turn the ball over. They are really, really, really good. I love all their players. Ernest Jones, Devon Witherspoon, Amon Wari, Reek Woolen, Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence, Jaron Reed, Kobe Bryant, Byron Murphy. I mean, they got studs over there. Julian Love. They have some studs, and it's one of the best defensive units in the NFL. In my opinion, a top 3 defensive unit in the NFL. So I love them. They forced 2 picks from Kirk Cousins today, and they forced a fumble from Bijan Robinson. So that's 3 turnovers. They looked great on defense. Granted, Kirk Cousins in 2025, not great, especially when he doesn't have Drake London out there. So 15-30 from Kirk Cousins, 162 yards passing, 2 interceptions, only had 1 sack. Bijan Robinson 20 for 86. Algier 11 for 34. Kyle Pitts 6 for 90. Go ahead, Kyle Pitts. Algier for 2 for 33, and that's really rounds out the receiving core for this Atlanta team. So Atlanta, they're teetering despite having a good defense. This team is done, and the Seahawks really just took their soul away in the second half here. That offense is really good, and that defense, when they have a lead, it's Clip City. So the Seahawks, one of the best teams in the NFL, they get on track. They have a much smoother win this week despite starting slow in the first half. They win 37-9. They move to 10-3. Falcons, they fall to 4-9. Now, well, here's another blowout, but it's a big result. The Jaguars, one of the hottest teams in the NFL, mind you, they win 36-19 against maybe one of the most dead teams in the NFL now. The Colts fall to 8-5, and the Jaguars they move to 9-4. And really, the first play of the game kind of set the tone. Daniel Jones' pick. I mean, it was not great to watch. As soon as that pick was thrown, I know I was like, man, don't love that. Especially if you're a Colts fan. It was Devin Lloyd with the pick, by the way. Really, this Jaguars team has been looking better and better on offense. And honestly, now Brian Thomas Jr. is starting to find his groove again. Trevor Lawrence has been pretty goddamn good the past 2 games. He has 4 touchdowns, no picks in his past 2 games. He's been pretty efficient and pretty effective. Granted, he played the Titans and the Colts, which the Colts, good record, but they're teetering pretty down now. Um, Trevor Lawrence, 17 to 30, 244 yards passing, 2 picks and no sacks. The old line for the Jags has been pretty good on all fronts recently. And the pass pro and the run blocking, we saw how good the run blocking looked today. Travis Etienne looked really good. He's having a really good comeback year. I love watching this dude run. He had a really down year last year. Now he's starting to pick things up, and he looks pretty fucking good. 20-74, 2 touchdowns today. I love the way he gets around blocks. I love it. Brian Thomas Jr., 3 for 87. He is looking to be back, and he's improving by each game now since he's been back. So, Brian Thomas Jr., I expect a touchdown from you next week. Tim Patrick, 5 for 78, 1 touchdown. Jacoby Myers, man, he's been great since he's become a Jaguar. I'm sure he's happy as hell to be out of Las Vegas because who wouldn't if they got traded from the Las Vegas Raiders? 4 for 39, 1 touchdown. Brenton Strange, one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL, 3 for 27. And Tootin, he got put on the bench because he had a fumbling problem today. 2 fumbles, 1 loss. This Jaguars defense is scrappy. Not one of the best defenses in the NFL, but they force a lot of turnovers. They're an opportunistic defense. And against a Colts team that is starting to deplete badly, they were going to take advantage of this team. And I felt that heading into the game. Daniel Jones, before getting injured, he's out for the year. He tore his Achilles. He was already playing on a broken leg, then he tore his Achilles. That sucks for Daniel Jones. That kind of sucks for Colts fans as well because he traded 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, which was kind of an indictment on how confident you were in Daniel Jones moving forward as your quarterback. But now it's starting to look bad. 5 for 7, 60 yards, 1 pick, didn't take any sacks. Then Ryan Leonard, Notre Dame legend, got some burn today. 18 to 29, 145 yards, 1 pick. Jonathan Taylor, 21 carries, 74 yards, a touchdown and a fumble. Alec Pierce, hopefully he's a Buffalo Bill next year, 5 for 80. Michael Pittman, 9 for 79. Josh Downs, 4 for 23. Tyler Warren, 2 for 15. So this Colts team is teetering. The defense didn't look good today. The offense looked completely discombobulated after Daniel Jones left. And honestly, they looked like a team that lacked spirit and fight, which who can't blame them, man? That's a gruesome injury to go out on. You're having a great year. People are calling you one of the greatest offenses of all time, and statistics would back it up. And now you lost 4 of your last 5, and you're 8-5, and you're not going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. You don't control your own destiny anymore. The Texans and the Jaguars are easily and definitively the better team, and now you're third in your division. So, crazy outcome for the Colts. They fall to 8-5. The Jaguars continue to improve, and Trevor Lawrence continues to improve. Liam Cohen's confidence in Trevor Lawrence continues to improve. Shout out to the Jaguars. They've been looking better and better and better. I like this team quite a bit. Jaguars, they moved to 9-4, first in their division. The Colts, they fall to 8-5, and they don't control their own destiny anymore. Moving on, Steelers get the win over the Baltimore Ravens. Holy shit. How disastrous are the Baltimore Ravens? The Baltimore Ravens are disastrous. Disastrous. Lamar Jackson has been dog water. I mean, dog water. Listen, he had a passing touchdown today. So shout out to him. But Ravens fans, the amount of shit they talk about Josh Allen, especially with their record against us in the playoffs and how Lamar has played against Josh Allen in the playoffs, this guy has been horrible for the past 5 games. You're injured, but buddy, everyone's injured at this point in the season. Play better. In the past 5 games, Lamar Jackson, here's what he's done passing: 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Granted, his O line has not been good in those 5 games. He has 12 sacks taken in 5 games, but honestly, his mobility has looked bad. Outside of today, his mobility did look better. He had 7 carries for 43 yards, 1 touchdown, but Lamar Jackson has been really bad, and he's been a bottom tier quarterback in the NFL. He's been pretty bad. Listen, Lamar today, 19 to 35, 219 passing and 1 touchdown, 1 pick, took 2 sacks. Derrick Henry, he got a lot of burn today. They did what I thought they were going to do heading into this game. Give the ball to Derrick Henry more. But honestly, he didn't do a whole lot with it. Like, he had 3.8 yards a carry, 25 carries, 94 yards. Keaton Mitchell, 6 for 76. He should have had a touchdown, to be honest with you guys. 7 for 43, 1 touchdown. So ultimately, the Ravens ran the ball effectively today. And they should have, especially what they saw the Bills do to the Steelers last week. When it pertains to the rushing attack of the Ravens today, 40 carries, 217 yards, 5.5 yards a carry, and 1 touchdown. Zay Flowers, big game from him today, 8 for 124 yards. Isaiah Likely, 4 for 25, 1 touchdown. He should have had 2, and honestly, the Isaiah Likely, the second touchdown, was a touchdown to me. It wasn't called a touchdown. That's just shit luck. I'm sorry, Ravens fans. Not, but I'm actually sorry. That sucks though. I agree. Like if that happened to me and our team, I'd be pissed. Rashad Bateman, 2 for 23. He should have had a touchdown as well. Wide open, dropped it. So listen, Lamar's been bad, but Rashad Bateman dropped it. A wide open touchdown pass. He would have walked right into the end zone. DeAndre Hopkins, 0 catches today. Um, Ravens continue to disappoint. Really, really lethargic football from the Ravens and uninspired football. And next week they face the Bengals, who I think the Bengals are going to beat the Ravens next week. I mean, they are going to beat the Ravens next week, and the Ravens will be 6-8. Now, luckily they're in a shitty division, and they probably won't be out of the hunt or out of the playoffs officially. But Ravens versus Bengals is huge next week, and Dolphins versus Steelers is huge next week. The Steelers face the Dolphins, Lions, Browns, and Ravens. And then the Ravens, they face the Bengals, Patriots, Packers, and Steelers. Dude, I'm rooting for the Ravens to beat the Patriots, but I think they lose 2 out of those 3. So let's talk about the Steelers, what they did today. 23 of 34, 284 yards passing, 1 touchdown, took 0 sacks. The Ravens defense is ass, man. Not only are they ass for not sacking Aaron Rodgers looks like he's 50. Granted, Aaron Rodgers had the best game of his season today. Great passing from Aaron Rodgers today. He said he had a great week of practice. It seemed like he did, evidently watching the game today. 23 34, 284 yards passing, 1 TUD. And he also had a rushing touchdown today. If you allow Aaron Rodgers to have a rushing touchdown against you in the year 2025, your defense is ass. And there's no other way for me to put it. I can't lower my words there. You're ass, that defense. I mean, look yourself in the mirror, defense. Aaron Rodgers, granted it was a 1 yard touchdown run. Dude, you can't allow that. And not sacking a quarterback who has no mobility left in him is sad. DK Metcalf, 7 for 148 yards. He was cooking. They went downfield with him today. In the first time in forever in this Pittsburgh Steelers offense, and he looked really good. Jalen Warren, 3 for 49 at a touchdown. Calvin Austin, 1 for 31. They were spreading it out on offense today, and the Ravens were in a fucking spin zone on defense. The Steelers got down in the red zone quite a bit today, and they capitalized. Ravens, offensive misfires, a touchdown that should have been a touchdown, and Rashad Bateman dropping a ball that probably should have been a touchdown is the difference today. Ravens should have won this game, and they lost. Lamar Jackson's played like ass, and they lost. And Lamar Jackson is coming back from injury, has been playing like ass, and they've been underwhelming, mostly due to that, and mostly due to their defense just not being a good one, in my opinion. Alex Highsmith had the game-ending sack, and the Steelers get a tremendously big win, and the Ravens continue to disappoint. Lamar Jackson continues to underwhelm, and he continues to raise questions. To me, the big 3 in the NFL for quarterbacks, I know Mahomes had 3 picks tonight, is Mahomes, Burrow, and Allen. And Allen is the first in that conversation, in my opinion. It's Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow. Now, I'm biased, but that's how I feel. I think Allen's by far and away the best quarterback in the NFL this year. I know Stafford and May are MVP favorites, but Allen's the best quarterback in the NFL. So Steelers, they moved to 7-6 in a major win, and the Ravens fall to 6-7, and things are getting chaotic in Baltimore. Moving on, who expected this game to be a shootout? I certainly didn't. I had this game being a 9-6 victory for the Browns heading into this game, and it was one of the highest scoring games of the day. The Titans win 31-29. They are 2-11. The Browns are 3-10 now. And what a great game this was. Two rookie quarterbacks going head to head. The first overall pick versus the fifth round pick. And it's safe to say the fifth round pick outplayed the first overall pick. Kevin Stefanski taking Shador Sanders out on the 2 point conversion is one of the most shocking things I've seen, and it's really due to the play call, a wildcat, which should have been a toss. I don't know what happened there, but it was unexplainable and inexcusable. Shador Sanders now has more 300-yard passing games than Drake May, which is one. Shador Sanders, 23 for 42, 364 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He was pretty good today. I mean, Titans aren't a great team. They aren't necessarily a great defensive unit, but they're not a bad defensive unit, and he almost had his complete way with them. Shador Sanders, 3 for 29 and a rushing touchdown, so he had 4 touchdowns total with 364 yards passing. Quishon Junkins was shut down today, 4 for 26. Harold Fannin Jr., 8 for 114 yards, 1 touchdown. Jerry Jeudy, 3 for 76, 1 touchdown. Dylan Sampson had a fumble today, but 5 receptions for 64 yards. Quinshon, 1 for 58. Browns were relatively clicking for their standards on offense, which was pretty impressive. Myles Garrett had 1 sack today, but relatively he was shut down. The Titans tackles had him in a little bit of a spin zone, if you ask me. Cam Ward, 14 for 28, 117 yards passing, 4.2 yards a pass, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Listen, Cam Ward had a pick today, but honestly, I like Cam Ward. He didn't have a horrible day, didn't have a great day. He had an all right day for his standards and the standards he should be held to. Tony Pollard was really the story of the day for the Titans. 25 carries, 161 yards rushing, 6.4 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns, a 65-yard touchdown run. He was great today. Tajay Spears, 2 for 28 receiving. Dimitri DK, 5 for 24 and a touchdown. Alik Amainer, 1 for 14 and a touchdown. And really, the rushing attack for the Titans, the blocking for the Titans won them this game. And honestly, the horrendous play calling and the weird decision to take Shador out on the 2 point conversion is what cost the Browns this game. Mr. Stefanski should probably be fired. Inexcusable coaching from him recently, and that accumulated today with that 2 point conversion call. So the Titans, they moved to 2-11. They're now the second overall pick in the draft behind the Giants. And the Cleveland Browns, they fall to 3-10. Moving on, the Saints going to Tampa Bay and beat the Buccaneers 24-20. Is Tyler Shuck a guy? Is he a guy? Because some of the plays he made today, specifically that 1 touchdown run, was something noticeable. Now, I won't say it was extraordinary. Honestly, it was a pretty great play. But Tyler Shuck, he has that dog in him, and he's certainly a better quarterback than Spencer Rattler, as much as that hurts me because I am a rat man. But let's talk about Tyler Shuck, 13-20, 144 yards passing, 1 pick, took 3 sacks today. But with him, he was good today with his feet and his ability to improv and the ability to escape the pocket and get positive yards and 2 touchdowns out of it. 755 rushing, 7.9 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Devin Neal, the Kansas rookie, who I really like, 19 for 70, 1 touchdown. Devon Bailey, 3 for 40 receiving. Jawan Johnson, 4 for 38. Chris Olave, 3 for 30. And the Saints just put this whole division on their head because now the Panthers and the Bucks are tied for first in that division. 7-6, the Panthers and the Bucks. Who would have thought? Panthers and the Bucks are sitting at the table. Who would have thought? So Tyler Shuck has been impressing me. He was impressing me with his passing the weeks before this, but he impressed me with his mobility this week. I loved watching him run the ball and escape the pocket. So Louisville prodigy, is he the one in New Orleans? Maybe he's earned himself an extra year in New Orleans. We shall see. I like what I've seen. This last stretch for him is pretty big. Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield was not good today. Not good today. 14-30, 122 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He should have had another touchdown. Emeka Buka, who started off the year incredibly, has been falling off a cliff recently. He had a wide open touchdown pass. He just drops it. Inexcusable from him. Bucky Irvin, 15 for 55, 3.7 yards a carry, Rashad White, 11 for 53, 4.8 yards a carry. Sean Tucker should get more burn, 7 for 29, 4.1 yards a carry. Ultimately, for the rushing attack, including Baker Mayfield, 39 carries, 179 yards rushing, 4.6 yards a carry, and 1 touchdown. Chris Godwin, 5 for 55 receiving. Bucky Irvin, 2 for 26 and a touchdown receiving. Emeka Buka, 9 targets, 2 catches, 15 yards. He should have had at least 3 catches, 25 yards in the touchdown. Instead, he drops a wide open touchdown. So the Bucks are falling off a cliff. Despite their defense being relatively good, they had 3 sacks today. They forced a turnover. Baker Mayfield did not have a good game, and Emeka Buka had a crucial drop that probably changed the game for the better. They probably would have won 27-24 if he catches that ball. Shout out to the Saints. They get a huge win. And Tyler Shuck, is the hype starting to build up with you, pal? I'm excited to see what you bring for the future as a New Orleans Saint. The Bucks, man, it's been really, really bad these past couple weeks. Okay, so out of their past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out of the past 7 games, they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 7 games they lost. They lost to the Lions, the Patriots, the Bills, Rams. Everything is excusable until the Saints. So, past 7 games, they lost 5 of them. Really not great. And I picked this team to go to the Super Bowl, so I don't feel great about this. So, the Bucks, they moved to 7-6, and their schedule from here on out does get lighter. Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. But Panthers are a good team, and the Dolphins are not bad. And then the Saints, they fall to 3. They move to 3-10. So, moving on, that is the 1 o'clock slate. What a 1 o'clock slate. Bengals versus Bills, one of the best games of the year, if not the best, and I was there. And the rest of the games were interesting and noteworthy. Let's move on to the 4 o'clock slate, where there are some things to talk about and garnish. We'll get the relatively non-important games out the way. Broncos, they move to 11-2, and they might be the most least impressive 11-2 team I've seen. They win 24-17 in Las Vegas. The Raiders, they fall to 2-11. I just don't see with the Broncos. Like, their defense is good, but not that great. Like, they're good and probably teetering on great. They have one of the best defensive units in the NFL, probably top 3, but they don't put fear in my heart like the Texans do. The Texans defense hits hard, and they force turnovers, and they have the best defensive pass rush in the NFL on both ends. So, Bo Nix, 31-38. He was pretty good today. Efficiency, folks. 212 yards passing, 3 sacks taken today. He was all right. He was good. RJ Harvey, 17 for 75, 1 touchdown. He's starting to pick up speed. Overall, for the Broncos running attack, 31 for 152 yards rushing, 4.9 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Bo Nix had a rushing touchdown alongside RJ Harvey. Cortland Sutton, 6 for 62. Pat Bryant, 4 for 32. Lil Jordan Humphrey, 3 for 27. RJ Harvey, 6 for 25. And listen, Broncos really didn't do much today because this Raiders team is just bad. Luckily, shockingly, the Broncos D-line and defense only got to the quarterbacks here 4 times. Geno Smith left the game with an injury. And shockingly, Geno Smith did not turn the ball over today before he left the game. Shockingly, the Broncos didn't force a turnover today. Shocking. If you would have asked me before the game, I'm like, Broncos probably forced 2 to 3 turnovers. Geno Smith, 13-21 before leaving the game, 116 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Kenny Pickett, 8 for 11, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. Genty just can't run the ball behind this whole line, 10 for 30, 3.8 yards a carry. Brock Bowers with the 4 receptions, 46 yards, 1 touchdown. And then Cedric Jackson, 1 for 25, 1 touchdown. Man, this Raiders team is depressing to watch. Their defense isn't bad, though. Like, I like Max Crosby, I like Jeremy Chin, and I like Devin White. And those boys are going to play their hearts out despite the record. So, Raiders, they just stink. And the Broncos, their record says they're great, but I don't think they are. They moved to 11-2. Raiders, they fall to 2-11. The biggest story about this game is the weird scenario at the end of it. Obviously, a lot of people saw Dave Portnoy's rant about it. I'm going to be a contrarian here, I bet. So I understand why he was so angry. And honestly, if I had the Broncos spread, I'd be probably just as angry. Because if you guys don't follow gambling, the Raiders ended up covering. And so here's the last 2 plays of the game. 3 plays. Kenny Pickett spikes the ball, 17 seconds left. And then the next play, 26-yard pass inbounds to Tyler Lockett. The clock is about like 8 seconds now. And the player for the Broncos sits or holds Tyler Lockett down for a second, resulting in a flag with about 8 to 5 seconds left on the clock. I forget what it was. So I assume this is what Pete Carroll was thinking. We kick a field goal, we go down seven, onside kick, we get the ball back. But realistically, there's not enough time for that. So really, the clock should have went out. But Pete Carroll is not to blame here. It's really the defensive player who forced the delay of the game, and the ref threw the flag, which he didn't need to do. The ref was just getting involved for no reason. So as much as people want to scream out rigged and gambling is taking over the sport, nah, I think this was a regular thing. It's just Pete Carroll did not realize the amount of clock that he had to work with, and that Daniel Carlson makes the kick, but there's no time to do the onside kick. And even if you recover the onside kick, once you recover the onside kick, there's no time left on the clock. So really, he probably just did this to cover the spread. But in the day and age of gambling, coaches and players are going to be aware of the spread. I mean, Lane Kiffin is highly aware of the spread. He talked about it in seemingly every freaking post game interview about the over and unders. So shout out to the Broncos. I guess they moved to 11-2. They continue to be one of the most unimpressive 11-2 teams I've ever seen in my life. Moving on, we'll get the other 4 o'clock game out the way. That was relatively unimportant. The Rams, they moved to 10-3. Matthew Stafford has a bounce back game, and so do the Rams after losing to the Panthers. They win 45-17 against Arizona Cardinals. In Arizona, the Cardinals, they fall to 3-10. And this was just dominance. The Rams were running the ball today. They were passing the ball today. They were doing whatever they wanted to against this Cardinals defense. Stafford, 22 of 31, 281 yards passing, took 0 sacks, 3 passing touchdowns. Blake Corum and Kyron Williams, man, I touched on it last week. Even in a loss, I was like, hey, if they can get these two running effectively, like, it's going to be scary. Uh, Blake Corum, 12 for 128 yards rushing, 10.7 yards a carry, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 13 for 84, 6.5 yards a carry. And then even Ronnie Rivers, 8 for 41, 5.1 yards a carry. So overall, 36 carries, 249 yards, 6.9 yards a carry, 3 touchdowns. Shout out to the running backs and shout out to the O-line. Allowed 0 sacks today and ran the ball at will. Puka Nacua, 7 for 167 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dominant, one of the best receivers in the NFL. He had an insane catch today. He seemingly has an insane catch every week. Colby Parkinson, 3 for 32, 1 touchdown. Devontae Adams, 4 for 29. Davis Allen, 2 for 21. That really rounds out the receiving core. The defense played really good today for the Rams. They're a consistent unit. Landman had a pick, and then they had 3 sacks. So they did their thing today on all fronts, the Rams. Jacoby Brissett, 25 for 44, 271 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 3 sacks taken. Jacoby Brissett was the leading rusher for the Cardinals, 4 for 22, 5.5 yards a carry. And overall, the Cardinals rushing attack with Bam Knight and Michael Carter, 14 for 51, 3.6 yards a carry. Michael Wilson turns into Jerry Rice without Marvin Harrison Jr. I picked him up in both my fantasy leagues, and I'm striving because of it. Michael Wilson, 11 receptions, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. Trey McBride, 5 for 58. Jalen Brooks, 2 for 32. And that really rounds out the receiving core. So the story of this game, the interior on both fronts for the Cardinals were getting manhandled. The Rams' interior was destroying the Cardinals' offensive line, and the offensive line of the Rams was destroying the defensive line of the Cardinals. No sacks allowed, and they ran the ball at will against this Cardinals defense. The Rams get back on track, and they looked exceptional on offense today, and Stafford becomes the favorite for MVP again with the Patriots on a bye. So, moving on to the last 4 o'clock game, a really big game and a big win for a certain team in Green Bay. The Bears, they fall to 9-4. They lose 21-28 in Green Bay, 9-3-1. And like I said, heading into this game, the Packers are picking up on momentum. Now, I picked the Bears to cover. They didn't cover, but nonetheless, it was a close game. I mean, if it wasn't for the bad pick at the end, who knows how this game would have ended up. If Caleb decided to throw to DJ Moore instead, this game probably ends up in a tie heading into overtime. Caleb Williams, 19 for 35, under 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. The pick was bad, but these stats don't tell how good Caleb was playing. Caleb was playing really good in the second half. His ability to evade the pocket is really special, and he's really good at improvising, and he's a really good escape artist. He was playing some of the best football of his career in the NFL in the second half today, up until the pick. So that pick was bad to see, but he's in his second year. Make these mistakes now because Ultimately, these mistakes now are going to help you out in your future. And the way this franchise is heading, the Chicago Bears, with Ben Johnson and the depth that they got, is going to be a promising future no matter the result of this season. DeAndre Swift, 13 for 63, 4.8 yards a carry. Kyle Monangai, 14 for 57, 4.1 yards a carry. Ultimately for the Bears, 32 carries, 138 yards, rushing 4.3 yards a carry, no touchdowns. Luther Burton, 4 for 67. Cole Kmet, 2 for 42. Colson 11, 4 for 29, 1 touchdown. Devin Duvernay gets in the paint, 1 for 24. DeAndre Swift, 3 for 19. Olamide Zaccheaus, 2 for 7. Really, the Packers are picking up steam. Um, the Bears were able to force a turnover on defense like they've been doing all year. They turn the ball over seemingly every week as a defensive unit. Jordan Love is a funny quarterback because he has some of the most beautiful passes you'll see a quarterback throw, and then he has some of the worst picks, maybe the worst picks you'll ever see. He threw it right to CJ. Um, Jordan Love, 17 for 25, great game from him today. 234 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, only took 1 sack. He was great today outside of the horrendous pick. Josh Jacobs, 20 for 86, 4.3 yards to carry, 1 touchdown. Jaden Reed was back. He had 2 carries for 22 yards. Christian Watson, 4 for 89, 2 touchdowns. I love Christian Watson. I would love for him to be a Buffalo Bill. Um, the only thing with him, he can't stay healthy, but when he's healthy, he's a dominant receiver, and he's a pretty effective one. He gets open, he's fast, he creates separation. He was great today, and he's been great since he's been back. I like what I've been seeing from Christian Watson and Jordan Love. In the past 5 games that Christian Watson has played, he has 5 touchdowns, and he has 2 games where he scored 2 touchdowns. And the Packers are on a 4-game win streak due to his return. And they arguably should have won the Eagles game. It's just one of those games where things didn't go their way. Bo Melton, 1 reception, 45 yards, 1 touchdown. Jaden Reed in his return, 4 for 31. The Packers, their momentum on offense is starting to build, and they're starting to look better and better on offense when this receiving score is getting healthy. The biggest thing for the Packers this year, Romeo Dobbs has 0 receptions today, but that's not even the biggest thing I'm going to talk about. Matthew Golden, the first round pick they had, has been underwhelming as hell. Now, granted, he doesn't have a wide receiver one in this offense, but it is a pretty stacked room. But he's been pretty non-existent. Um, in the past 5 games he's played, he has a total of 10 receptions for a total of 74 yards, which that's over a 5 game span. Not great. And he hasn't scored a touchdown this entire year. So I'm waiting for him to pop. This defense is getting stronger and stronger by the second. Listen, I actually like this Bears team. They look legit despite the loss. So as sad as this loss might be for Bears fans, you can't really hang your head too much. You had the ball, had a chance to tie it or score and go for 2, and Caleb Williams just saw the open guy too late and threw a bad pick. So the Bears, they fall to 9-4. The Packers, they continue to stay hot. 4 game winning streak now. They moved to 9-3-1, and clearly LaFleur and Ben Johnson hate each other. If you haven't seen the post game handshake, I urge you to watch it. It was like a 0.5 second handshake. They walked right past each other, electrifying. So listen, that's what Ben Johnson gets for talking shit when he got hired. I'd be pissed too if I was Matt LaFleur. I'm not a better man than Matt LaFleur because I would have been like, fuck you. He's probably saving that for the second time they face if they win. Now, moving to the last game of the Sunday slate, the Texans beat the Chiefs in Kansas City, and they pretty much end Kansas City this year, and the Kansas City Chiefs are probably not making the playoffs. It's funny to me because heading into this year, I wanted to pick the Chiefs to not win their division and not make the playoffs, but I didn't. I picked the Chiefs to win their division and for them to make the playoffs. That was all based on their historical history these past 5 or 7 years. And I should have went with my gut. This Chiefs team is just not good. And that offense is unexplainable. I am of the opinion, this is not something I had in hindsight. This is something I had in the moment. My friend's a Chiefs fan, so I was texting him. The 2 fourth downs that Andy Reid went for in the fourth quarter are inexcusable. And honestly, the play calling from Andy Reid is unrecognizable for his greatness and what he's done for the Kansas City Chiefs these past 10 or so years. There's 10 minutes left in the game. You're on your what, own 35? And the Texans have been shut down the entirety of the second half. And you go for on 4th and 1. That doesn't make any sense to me. Especially when your offense hasn't been good, and especially when you're facing the best defense in the NFL. Why not make the Texans drive the full length of the field? And then the second one makes more sense, but no, I wouldn't have went for it either. The 2 fourth down decisions to go for were inexcusable and didn't make any sense to me. The second one made a little bit more sense, but I wouldn't have gone for either. And I think Andy Reid, if brain worms weren't attacking his brain right now, wouldn't have went for those either. So that was shocking to watch. The play calling for the Kansas City Chiefs, pretty unrecognizable recently. And the players for the Chiefs on offense have been pretty unrecognizable recently. Pat Mahomes, 14 to 33, 160 yards passing, 2 sacks, threw 3 picks. Now, one of those was an arm punt. One of those was a throw to Kelsey where he just dropped it and it fell to the defender's hand, which is that's the second or third time that's happened with Kelsey this year, which is weird because Kelsey's actually been pretty good this year, but he has 3 passes this year that should have been completions. Instead, they end up in the arms of the defender for some reason. So listen, Pat Mahomes was not good today. He just wasn't. But Rasheed Rice and Kelsey had some crucial drops, man, and uncharacteristic drops. But honestly, Rasheed Rice, these drops are getting characteristic. All these Chiefs fans were talking like, "Yo, Rasheed Rice is coming back. We're about to be different." I haven't seen any difference. So Rasheed Rice, all the praise you were getting after that little F1 type stunt you pulled on the highway, I haven't seen that difference, bro. So my voice sounds crazy right now. But Mahomes wasn't good today. Couple picks weren't his fault, but 3 picks nonetheless. Like, listen, we don't give that grace to veterans, bro. We give that grace to young players. We don't give grace the players of your caliber. If this was Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or one of those other prominent quarterbacks, they'd be shitting on him for throwing 3 picks in a must-win game. So, hey, we can't give you that grace, Pat Mahomes. You came to Kansas City Chief loving these cookies and eating these cookies. By the way, that meme is legendary with Keon Coleman. As a Bills fan, that is funny as hell. So, Pat Mahomes was not good today, but his best players let him down. Pat Mahomes, the Chiefs can't run the ball, and he was their best running threat. He's been their most consistent and best running threat all year, which is not a formula to success for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, the mobility is nice for Pat Mahomes. He's always known to have nice mobility and ability to evade and get really important yards. But for him to be your most consistent rusher on the year is just embarrassing. The O line is banged up, but this is just bad. 7 for 59, 8.4 yards a carry. Kareem Hunt, 12 for 30, 2.5 yards a carry, 1 touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco, 9 for 30, 3.3 yards a carry. Overall, 29 carries, 126 yards rushing, 4.3 yards a carry, 1 touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs. Xavier Worthy, 3 for 55. He was their best receiver today. Hollywood Brown, 1 for 35. Rasheed Rice, 4 for 34. He had 8 targets and a crucial drop. He had a huge drop against the Cowboys as well. So I don't know what's going on with his hands, man. It's pretty weird to watch. And then Kelsey, 1 for 8 today. He was locked down by Al-Shaair today. That Texas defense is scary, but yeah, man, the defense for the Kansas City Chiefs doesn't look the same, and their offense certainly doesn't look the same. Specifically, their best players and their play caller. So Kansas City Chiefs, man, they just don't deserve to make the playoffs. If they somehow sneak in, good for them. But I don't think they sneak in anymore. I think they're done. Um, it's not like their schedule is exactly easy. They face the Chargers, Titans easy. They face the Broncos and Raiders. So Titans and Raiders are easy. Chargers and Broncos tough games, and they don't have the tiebreakers over the teams in front of them. So, man, what a interesting result. I hate the Chiefs, but I was watching this game. I'm getting angry. I'm like, what team am I watching right now? Like, what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs? I was literally spellbinded. I couldn't believe it. CJ Stroud today actually had a really good game today. Listen, his stats won't say that, but he made some really good plays. 15 for 31, 203 yards passing, 1 touchdown, took 3 sacks. Woody Marks, 26 for 68, 2.6 yards a carry. uh, Ogunbowale, the vet, 1 for 5, 1 touchdown, efficiency. Had the huge touchdown to change the game. 31 for 82, 1 touchdown. Nico Collins, a big game. 4 for 121 yards, 30 yards catch. Jaden Higgins, 3 for 34. Dalton Schultz, 3 for 22. Really, this pass attack was efficient for the Texans, and the defense for the Texans is scary. That Petrie hit on Rasheed Rice was unreal. Rocked him out of his socks. That's the best hit I've seen. Now, Collins was talking about a Jalen Watson tackle, which was great, about being the best tackle he's seen in 10 years. The hit and tackle Petrie had on Rasheed Rice is the best hit and tackle I've seen in 10 years. He rocked him out of his socks. Completely legal hit. This team is scary, man. I'm telling you, as a Bills fan, if we make the playoffs, which we will, the team I fear the most out of everyone in it is the Texans by far. That defense is scary. With that being said, we only lost by 3. We had a chance to win that game. And the false start penalty by Deion Dawkins fucked us up, fucked up our rhythm. But we should have and could have won that game. And I think if we face them again in the playoffs, we win that game. Now, hopefully they don't make the playoffs somehow, but they're going to make the playoffs. And listen, we're going to have to be prepared. And honestly, people are shitting on the AFC this year, and rightfully so, I kind of guess. But if we somehow get past the Texans to the Super Bowl, I'm feeling happy and eager in that Super Bowl because this is the best defensive unit in the NFL. If we can win against them, we can win against anybody. Now, can we stop anybody? That's the issue. But this defense is special, man. Petrie, Alshire, Stingley, Lassiter had a pick today. I mean, what a fucking unit. Well coached and extremely and uberly talented, that defensive unit. They impress me more and more each week. The wins they have recently are insane. They beat the Chiefs, the Colts, the Bills, Titans, Jaguars. They lost to the Broncos, but really they really shouldn't have. Honestly, my fucking ideal scenario would be Broncos versus Texans somehow, and they just beat each other up, and Broncos win somehow, and then we face the Broncos and we beat them. Um, so Texans, man, they continue to impress, and they completely ruined the Chiefs' season. And the Chiefs probably are making the playoffs, which is remarkable, and I am happy about it. And some people are like, "Oh no, Pat Mahomes and Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson in the playoffs." Shut up! You don't like football. That's interesting. That's interesting to me. Really, the fourth down play calling by Andy Reid and the decisions to go for it were the cost of this game. Like, I really think if the Texans had to drive a long distance, they wouldn't have been able to do it, and the Chiefs would have got stops, and they ultimately would have been in good field position to somehow get 3. Instead, the fourth downs that he went for resulted in 10 points for the Texans. So, Texans, they win. They move on to 8-5. They are hot, one of the scariest teams in the NFL. And the Chiefs, they fall to 6-7, and they are the 10th seed. Wow. So that is it for NFL Sunday. Tomorrow is Eagles versus Chargers in LA. I have the Eagles. Despite Jalen Carter being out, I think that O line is too big enough for the Chargers, and I think the Eagles will find a way to win that game. So it is your boy Matt Talk Sports. Had one of the greatest days of my life, and guess what? I ended it with you guys here tonight. So let's go Bills. And hey, if you made this far in video, let me know if your team won today, and let me know if your team is in the playoffs. If your team is in the playoffs, give me a hell yeah in the comments, and also like, comment, subscribe. Follow me everywhere at Matt Talk Sports, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And follow me if you like film content at Matt Talks Films. Subscribe to my channel at Matt Talks Films. And follow me everywhere at Matt Talks Films, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And I'll see you there. I'll see you guys Thursday night or Friday morning for a full prediction video of the Week 15 slate. I can't wait for it. Bills versus Patriots. Hopefully they change that Sunday night game because that Sunday night game sucks, but I imagine they can't now. Ravens versus Bengals, some great games. Chargers versus Chiefs, great games, and I can't wait to talk about it with you guys on Thursday night, Friday morning. Bills win. I get to see the Bills versus Bengals in person, and it's one of the best games of the year, if not the best. Josh Allen plays perfect, and I leave ecstatic. And I got to sing Mr. Brightside with all my Bills Mafia brethrens and sisters. So, let's go Bills. Let's go Bills. Let's go Bills. Keep it chugging into next week. Beat the Patriots in Foxborough, and I will fucking levitate on live, on camera, in my recap of Week 15. Now, it is your boy Matt Talk Sports. Follow me over at Matt Talk Sports, and I will see you Friday morning, Thursday night. Until next time.